Good day, everyone, from wherever you're watching around the world. Welcome to Seeking the Truth channel. I'm Simon Oladapo, your host. We've been discussing how to identify an authority that is instituted by God. And like I said, one of the first scrutiny that the authority must pass is the scrutiny of righteousness. When we say scrutiny of righteousness, it means it must pass the test of fairness, it must be right, it must not fail the test of order. And in our last discussion, we discussed the component of righteousness, which is also justice. Now, in justice, we said, doing to others, giving to people what they deserve without bias, without discrimination, without partiality, or without favoritism. We went further to discuss that the tenets of justice in the emergence of leaders begins with the process that they must pass through. If the process, like the laws that guides the emergence of leaders, is rooted in injustice, to discriminate against some, or to propagate bias against others, any leadership that emerges from such does not have anything to do with God. God does not institute that. And we also said that the laws may not be flawed. The laws may be rooted in justice, but the execution of the laws to produce leaders, if it is executed in an unjust manner, whatever leadership emerges from such does not emerge from God. We continue today by looking at another component of righteousness: equity. Equity, not equality now. We're talking of equity. Equity is having people, letting people have, letting people access, letting people possess what they deserve, notwithstanding their state, their status, or their standing in society. Let me repeat that. Another component of righteousness is equity, and that is letting people have what they deserve, letting people access what they deserve, notwithstanding their status, their state, their class, or their stand in society. Let me expatiate on this. When you have a system that produces leaders that is skewed in a manner that some people do not have any opportunity to even produce leaders, just because either they are poor, either they are few in number, notwithstanding whether they are not much educated, even when they have those who meet the standards, you have subjugated equity. And you all know, since Nigeria is our case study, there are tribes, there are ethnicities that will never produce presidents in this country, even when they are citizens. It is a society where you must know someone who knows someone who occupies an office somewhere, who wields power somewhere, before you can do some things. So equity, once equity is lost, once equity is not a factor in the process, in the order that produces leaders that emerge from such process do not have what qualifies them as authorities that God institutes himself. Let us stretch it further. When you have a situation where there is a dispute in election, those who will preside over the dispute must not only do justice, everyone must see them to have done justice. Let me repeat that. When there's a dispute in an election, or when there's a dispute concerning any process, and I mean any process, it may be the traditional institution, it may be the local institution, it may be the governor, it may be the president. Once there is a dispute regarding a process that produces leaders, and that dispute leads to litigation, whoever, either as a group or individual, will preside over that litigation. They must not only do justice, they must be seen to have done justice. Because when justice is done, people see it. When justice is not seen, it simply translates justice is not done. And do not forget where we're coming from in the last class. In Psalms 89, verse 14, the Bible says, righteousness and justice are the foundation of the throne of God. The very throne on which God sits is the foundation of righteousness and justice. And this is the express judgment. Any authority that emerges from the violation of righteousness, any authority that emerges from the violation of justice, any authority that emerges from perpetration of injustice, no matter how little, does not emanate from God, is not authorized by God. Because for God to author an authority, for God to validate an authority, for God to institute an authority that violates the foundation of his throne, will be tantamount to God undermining himself. So let's get that very clear. When an authority emerges in violation of process, in violation of order, when an authority emerges in clear violation of fairness, when an authority emerges from clear violation of process, when an authority emerges from the foundation of injustice, such authority does not emanate from God. So as we conclude on that question that was asked, that what about Romans chapter 13? Romans chapter 13 says, it's there on your screen, there is no authority except that which is instituted by God. There is no authority unless it is instituted by God. So for an authority to pass the test that God instituted it must pass the test of righteousness. It must emerge from the tenets of fairness. It must come from the angle of being right. It must not violate order. It must obey the law of justice. and it must also show forth equity. So it is not every authority that God institutes. There are many authorities today that has nothing to do with God, but people still quote that scripture to validate. Like I said, righteousness has nothing to do with religion. It has nothing to do with faith. It's about relationship, how we treat others, fulfilling our obligations to God and to man. Still, in light of that Romans chapter 13, if you stretch it further, it says the one in authority in verse 4 is a servant of God. How can you say the one in authority in the coven of witches is a servant of God? How do you say the one who is in authority in the courts is a servant of God? No. Yes, they come from a process that legitimately, by their own requirement, gave them authority, but they fail the test of righteousness. Therefore, they do not belong to God. In our next engagement, we'll begin by discussing legitimacy, because when a process follows the standard of righteousness, it automatically has legitimacy. Any government, any authority that lacks legitimacy does not emanate from God, because God is not the author of disorder. Thank you for spending your time with me today. Please like, share, subscribe, drop your question and let's engage. Enjoy the rest of your day. A peaceful weekend lies ahead of you. Take good care of yourself and your family. I'll see you next week. Bye.